talking to you guys about something that you've probably experienced at least once in your life, especially since we're now college students. But before I jump into my topic, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about myself. Over the past year, I have worked 3 jobs, not all together at once, but consecutively, so one after the other. My first job was at Macy's, and I was a sales associate selling dresses in the women's department. My second job was at Raging Waters, and I was a caterer, so whenever kids came over for field trips, I was there to serve them food. And last but not least, I worked over the summer and up until recently at California's Great America as a rides operator. I operated mostly Loggers Run and Endeavor, but I did get switched around a little bit. So, as you can tell from my job descriptions, all 3 of my jobs were very different in location as well as in task, but they all have one thing in common. Each of my companies that I worked for paid minimum wage. So how many of you guys have worked for minimum wage or are familiar with the term minimum wage? So a significant amount of people. To elaborate on your knowledge of minimum wage, today I'm going to inform you guys about how minimum wage is manipulated in today's society. And to talk about that, I'm going to be presenting 2 main points. My first main point being what is minimum wage and a little bit of its history, and my second main point being how it affects society. So to begin, let's talk about my first main point. What is minimum wage and what's the history about it? First of all, according to the minimum wage opposing viewpoints edited by Noah Berlatsky, minimum wage is the lowest hourly wage for work allowed by the government. According to the United States Department of Labor, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, but this varies depending on state as well as city. So, for example, San Jose, the minimum wage is $10 an hour, versus Santa Clara, it's $8 an hour. Minimum wage policy can be traced back all the way to citizen of Great Britain as well as the United States. And in Waltman's, the minimum wage policy in Great Britain and the United States, various acts such as Great Britain's Old Age Pensions Act of 1908, as well as the United States Fair Labor Act of 1939, combined to basically contribute to the minimum wage policy that we have today. And based off of the acts that I mentioned previously, or just now, as well as the ones that I saw in the book that I used, they were basically all combined to create the minimum wage policy that we have today, and their goal was to reduce poverty as well as inequality in the workforce as well as society in general. In fact, the introduction of the minimum wage policy was believed to lift income at the very bottom to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. So after seeing how this policy became how it is today, let's move on to my next point. The federal minimum wage rate can take a toll on society's individuals as well as businesses. A few effects of increasing the minimum wage are as follows. In a New York Times article by Annie Lowry, increasing the minimum wage rate moved more money into the pockets of people who are working, and this ultimately helped get the economy back on track for the working people as well as the middle class. Furthermore, even though the cost of business increased when you increase minimum wage rates, the product quality overall improves, and this is in favor of good businesses, small and big. And lastly, according to Savia, Carney, Marison, and Harrington in the minimum wage opposing viewpoints, the minimum wage has helped to maintain a basic standard of living for our lowest income workers. As you can see, the minimum wage policy is something that has both positive and negative effects on society today. So to recap, I talked to you guys about how or what minimum wage is and how it became today, and also how it affects society in general. Although it's not the most interesting to learn about, it is something that is important to learn about, and it's best to understand because in the end it can end up affecting you and you can put more money in your pocket.